aging. I'm not sure what I can tell you about it that you don't already know. There's one thing that we can all agree on. None of us is getting any younger, and as you can tell with these glasses here, I couldn't see this speech without them. So, the mirror also tells me every morning that aging is actually taking place, and often it's not a pretty sight. But I will take you through an odyssey today about Japan's unique aging and how indeed it is a precursor to the aging that we will see not only in Asia but around the world. As we can see, the year 2000 was a demographic watershed in Asia, a century of growth. After a century of growth, the number of children reached a peak in 1999, and since 2000 has begun to decline. At the same time, mortality has dropped dramatically. For the whole population across 22 countries in Asia, life expectancy at birth was 41 in the 1950s. According to a recent OECD study, life expectancy at birth has reached nearly 72 in 2008, a gain of more than 30 years. Asia is on track to doubling its 1950s life expectancy at birth as early as 2020. The baby boom of the 20th century, the sharp decline in fertility rates in recent decades, the rising life expectancy, and with it the steady decline in mortality is reshaping the size and age structure of Asian populations. Across Asia, the portion of national population 65 and above is expected to grow rapidly over the next 40 years. Indeed, in all countries, especially in developed ones, the older population itself is aging. People over the age of 75 make up the fastest growing segment of the population. In both developed and developing countries, aging population raises concerns as to whether or not the shrinking labor force will be able to support a large and less independent elderly population. Japan is aging faster than any other nation. By the end of the decade, there will be 3 retirees for every child under the age of 15, and before long, 1 in 6 Japanese will be over the age of 80. The important thing to understand about aging in Asia is just how fast it's happening. Japan's aging, when it's compared, is very pronounced when compared to European countries. Though it took Germany 56 years and Italy 44 to double their 65 and older populations from 10 to 20%, and it'll take the UK and France even longer, Japan achieved this same feat in 2 short decades. Japan's rapid aging, however, is not unique in Asia. Though Japan is leading the pack, it is followed closely by South Korea and China on a vastly larger scale. China, due to the one-child policy since 1978, had over 12% of the population aged 60 or above by 2009. This percentage will raise to 33% by 2050. It's interesting to point out that France took 126 years for the portion of its population 65 and older to double from 7 to 14%. It will take Korea 18 years and China only 25 years to achieve the same increase. When we take a closer look at regional population pyramids, it becomes very clear, the pattern becomes very clear and emerges that Japan is 10 to 15 year lead on developed countries like Australia, Taiwan, and Korea, and a 20 to 30 year lead on emerging Asian economies. The Philippines stands out as a country that has retained a traditional demographic pyramid. The reduction of fertility rate in recent years, down from 6.9 in 1960s to 3.1 in 2010, will stabilize the Philippine population growth in coming years. However, it will take many years for the Philippines to have a demographic pyramid that looks anything like even Indonesia or Vietnam. Japan, on the other hand, already confronts a shrinking population. Korea is graying even more quickly, And although China's population is projected to grow for another few decades, the demographic change races against its economic development. Indeed, China could become the first country to grow old before it grows rich. In Southeast Asia, Singapore also confronts a declining birth rate and an aging population. Interestingly, Asia's aging countries look to the young societies, such as Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines, as sources of immigration and even wives. These countries, in turn, face their own demographic challenges, such as how to provide universal education and health care, and for a globally competitive economy. For Japan, the silver lining to this cloudy outlook is that the elderly population controls more than half of the country's wealth. Accumulated wealth for those 60 to 90 stood at roughly $14 trillion. People under 60, more than any other age group in the year ending March 2012, accounted for 44% of Japan's total consumption. From providing lighter shopping carts and smaller package sizes, slower escalators, brighter display cases, the 30 million people 65 and older as of October 2012, retailers in Japan are adjusting to a consumer group that packs the financial clout. One indication that things have already changed is that Unicharm, Japan's largest diaper maker, sold more adult diapers in Japan than baby diapers for the first time in 2012. Unicharm has moved quickly to take lessons learned in Japan to China, where the population 65 and older rose to nearly 9% as of 2010. Oh, and please don't forget to diaper doggy. Yes, it's a dog in diapers is somewhat funny. However, the pet market in Japan is no laughing matter. As of 2012, there were more pets in Japan, 22 million, than children under the age of 15 at 16.6 million. To address the many challenges presented by the rapidly aging population, Japan has moved to leverage its regional leadership in the provision of health care and to create a health care economy through the development of high-tech products and services for its elderly that can also address the needs of a rapidly aging Asian population beyond its borders. Having celebrated the 50th anniversary of the National Health Insurance System in 2011, the government of Japan and the Ministry for Foreign Affairs trained their sights on making Japan's medical know-how a central pillar of its soft power in the region and the world. Bolstered by recent high marks from the OECD and WHO for its universal healthcare system, Japan has set its sights high on its expertise not only in cosmetic and elective surgeries, which are common in the medical tourism market elsewhere in Asia, but in the treatment of acute and chronic conditions for the well-to-do elderly in the region. Japan now aims to become the top Asian destination for healthcare by 2020. In addition to attracting overseas patients for Japan, the government has also implemented programs aimed at increasing the presence of Japanese-style medical care overseas, with the goal of opening up sales opportunities for the nation's drug and medical device manufacturers. Japanese-style medical treatment was adopted by 8 overseas projects in 2011, 18 in 2012, and with a sharp increase in applications, the Abe administration has moved quickly to earmark additional funding to cover feasibility studies for fiscal 13. Japan is known for its cancer specialists and its work in heavy particle radiotherapy and regenerative medicine. Propelled by Dr. Shinya Yamanaka's 2012 Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine for the work that revolutionized the understanding of how cells and organisms develop, the government of Japan made regenerative medicine the centerpiece of its effort to commercialize innovative basic research through targeted government investments. High-tech industry migration from consumer electronics to medical devices and the ongoing globalization efforts of established domestic healthcare players have also been given a boost by the new Abe administration's growth strategy priorities, which target medical technologies from regenerative medicine, biotech, vaccines, drug development, to medical devices and diagnostics as core to Japan's competitiveness in the 21st century. Japan is a longtime leader in industrial robots, now looks to lead the world in robots that love you and lift you up. The new exoskeletons will soon be widely used to help caregivers lift and move the increasing number of frail, bedridden elderly. These new technologies will reshape what was once a back-breaking chore. And as I mentioned earlier, Japan has more pets than children. But real animals are difficult to take care of by elderly owners. The therapeutic robot Paro is a furry white seal robot which in its 8th generation now has the ability to learn from its interactions with people and can show the emotions of surprise, happiness, and anger. Paro is used widely in nursing homes around the world where it is reported to help stimulate dementia patients. Paro is an excellent example of how companies are leveraging learning from the front lines of aging in Japan to find success in markets worldwide. Building off Japan's strength in consumer electronics, Japanese makers have also come out with a blizzard of health monitoring and mobile health devices, from home pressure devices and high-tech toilets to pocket health monitors and smartphone links for total health data collection. Considering the urgent need for remote health monitoring in rural regions in the developed world, and Japan has plenty of those, and the rising demand of the developing world for mobile solutions, mobile health is one area we can expect to see significant growth in coming years. With nearly a third of its population already 60 or older, Japan leads the world in aging. Clearly, Japan is a country with unique demographics. Whether the steps the Japanese government and industry are taking today will provide the sustainable economy needed to support an increasing elderly and frail population, only time will tell. The post-World War II Japanese miracle is but a faded memory for most people today. However, leveraging lessons learned in addressing the need of a rapidly aging population at home and turning them into commercial successes in overseas markets with rapidly aging populations in Asia and around the world may indeed provide Japan with a kind of magic formula for a 21st century Japanese miracle, one where addressing the needs of the super-aged society can be turned away from a potential economic liability into a winning economic asset. In sum, I believe U.S. industry, from retail to healthcare, could learn a great deal about where to compete and invest in a rapidly aging Asia, and in the aging world for that matter, by studying this future global economic metamorphosis that is already well underway in Japan, the world's first super-aged society. Thank you.